This is unfair that you convince tens of millions of women, yes? You convince tens of millions of women that motherhood is not important.
You know what they say? Practice what you preach. Well, Mohammed Hijab preaches babies. He loves talking about how feminism destroyed womanhood. He likes talking about how feminism brainwashed women thinking that being mother is really bad thing. He expressed that rejecting babies is evil, unnatural, anti-Islamic. It is the part of West's decline. And yet, behind the closed doors, when it comes to his own wife, suddenly Mohammed Hijab is not so eager to reproduce for the Ummah. Because according to his ex-wife, his ex-secret wife, Mohammed Hijab told her that he is going to try to make sure she doesn't get pregnant.
It's halal, there is nothing wrong with it. Why are you making things difficult? Don't worry, I'm going to try not to get you pregnant.
Well, some of you might just pick that up. What is that means? That means Mohammed Hijab is going to practice coitus interruptus. That's the background of Surah 4 verse 24, where Muslim men are practicing coitus interruptus on the woman whom they just taken as sex slaves. So it is something practiced on sex slaves. But that is for sex slaves. You might be wondering why Mohammed Hijab wants to practice on his secret wife what early Muslims practiced on their sex slaves. You continue to wonder about that.
Can you imagine a woman who convinced tens of millions of women not to have children, not to prioritize motherhood? She herself, 20 years later, that same woman, she says, I regret the situation. I mourn. This is strong language. I mourn for my unborn children. I wish I had children. This is unfair that you convince tens of millions of women, yes? You convince tens of millions of women that motherhood is not important, that having a career is, and then she says, I mourn for my unborn children. Now, the same woman, Jermaine Greer, she says, now we have to look. Can you imagine she says this? All I'm telling you to do is look at the confessions of the feminists. Forget about me, what I say. Look at the confessions of the feminists. She says, now we have to look at motherhood being a full-time career option.
So, he's making videos shaming women who doesn't want to have kids. But then, he turns around and then says this to his very own secret wife. Let me get this straight. Mohammed Hijab's moral outrage is activated by when the feminist rejects motherhood. But when he tells a woman, you won't have my child? That's Islamic wisdom. That's Islamic masculinity. That is simply Islam. I thought Muslim thought that Islam encourages Muslims to have children. I remember listening Turkish president where he was stating, well, go to Europe, make babies, make more babies so that you can take over Europe. Making babies is not just something biological in Islam, it is theological. Women are baby making machines in Islam. And Hijab uses this in his discussions. Look at the West, look at their decline of birth rates, all that. Look at this, how feminism is ruining the civilization. When it is time for him to personally contribute to the Ummah, what is he doing? He's pulling out of something, or better way of saying, gentle way of saying, responsibility, and putting that responsibility in beddings in hotel rooms. So he's preaching babies for Ummah, but practicing coitus interruptus for himself. It seems to me that Hijab's logic is feminist regret is evil, but my wife is not having kids. That's absolutely fine. He won't make babies with his wife, but he will make lectures about yours. He's got one womb rule for public, but another for his private life. Or you might be saying, those of you who has good heart might be saying, oh no, he is simply protecting his secret ex-wife from future feminist regret. One baby free night at a time. Publicly, he is expressing that woman must reproduce. Privately, not you though. Oh dear Aisha, not you. You cannot reproduce. Ummah must grow, but not through you. What is this? What is this, hijab? Is not having children evil? Or is it evil when women decided? Are you saving the ummah, or you are just making sure that your wives don't get in your way as you go to the hotels secretly to have sex? If you are going to shame women for rejecting motherhood, maybe start by not rejecting fatherhood yourself. Because right now, you are not preaching, you are projecting. And what we have here at the end. Mohammed Hijab preaches babies, produce hotel visits secretly to avoid diapers. Not good look for Islam at all. Not good for Islam at all. But this is Islam.